diversion. The act or an instance of diverting and turning aside. Something that distracts one's mind with relaxation or entertainment. A maneuver that draws attention of an opponent away for a planned action. I often wonder if that's what's really going on when we talk about all the things in the world. We see what the news is showing. We hear what the politicians are saying. The question is, what are they not saying? What are we not seeing? Then we hear these random stories of warehouses burning or derailed infrastructure. Those things matter. All the while, our focus is on one thing. Is something else really happening? Let's jump into some stories today that I think could be a diversion and ultimately gets our mind focused on one thing while we're missing out on everything else that's going on. Let's jump right into it. The video starts right now.
About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions.
Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or down, but let us know what you think about this video. Our goal is always to bring good information that can help you make wise decisions by using common sense. So let's jump into it. So I gave you the definition of diversion. Everyone is focused on the Chinese balloon of the UFOs. Now there is some severity maybe to the first Chinese balloon. We allow float over our whole United States to collect whatever information they wanted. The question is, all of a sudden we start shooting these other things out of the sky. No one knows what it is. No one wants to talk about it. The meeting with the senators from the administration didn't give them any inclination of what it was. Well, now we're hearing stories where they're kind of downplaying it. But what are we missing when our focus is on these UFOs? Or what are we missing when all of a sudden our focus is what the media wants it to be on? What are we missing? Well, if it wasn't for social media, people would have missed the story in Ohio and how dangerous it is. It is literally going to affect the rivers. It's going to affect the town. It's going to affect animals. It's going to affect the farmlands. Do you know where that town is? It's close to the Ohio River. The Ohio River filters into the Mississippi Valley, the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River is what we grow a majority of our crops on and our grains on, which ultimately feeds our animals. So if we're tainting some of those areas, is that something that we missed? Remember, this was government and big business deciding to take this infrastructure issue and make it maybe worse than what it was. And we don't know that, but all the while we were worried about UFO. I've been strolling Twitter and strolling the news, and no one really touched this issue until it started really getting popular on Twitter. No one touched it. Why are we not talking about it? Why is FEMA and the EPA not involved? What? We're worried about the UFO, and we missed out on a major issue that can cause major damage to an area, and not only area, to a whole river valley that feeds a lot of America and a lot of our animals. What other diversions are we missing out on? What about the Nord Stream pipeline? Did we have anything to do with that? It's something to think about. Our administration came out and said that we're not going to allow that to flow if Ukraine and Russia get in a war. Well, all of a sudden, they got in a war. A few months later, Nord Stream's down. Do we realize that sabotage, whomever did it, is a form of war against two sovereign countries that we had nothing to do with? Those two sovereign countries, or Europe and Russia, how they got fuel to them. We talk about energy crisis for Europe. We may have caused some of that, or whomever blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. That is sabotage. But hey, all the while we're worried about these statues getting put up in honor of whatever. We're worried about the Grammys and this satanic look of the Grammys. We're worried about the UFOs. It's just the dangling of stuff that we can focus our eyes on while we're missing the big picture. We hear that Epstein's book's coming out and it's going to release a lot of names, which I don't believe that's actually going to happen. We see more classified documents being found at everybody's home. And now I'm worried that they're going to find them in my home. But the question is, while we're watching this, what's really happening over here? We're having a lot of issues with derailments and with structural issues. We passed an infrastructure bill that really didn't involve a lot of infrastructure. It had a lot more pork than it did with infrastructure. So we're seeing things happen to our infrastructure that are causing major catastrophic issues for America. So it goes back to our politicians, and I say this for the Republicans and the Democrats. No one's talking about the real issues. I think we're getting stuff dangled in our face, so we focus on one thing and miss the other. No one from the Republicans or the Democrats are talking about the Nord Stream pipeline, except for some fringe people. I'm talking about everyone on the national stage. No one is saying, oh, that could be real. No one's talking about Ohio Chernobyl until it started trending on Twitter. So then you start having some people talk about it now. But for the last week, they were just going to try to hide that. No one was going to talk about the actual Chinese spy balloon until someone saw it. And then all of a sudden it had to be addressed. Well, now we're just shooting 15, 20 things out of the sky, either hobbies or drones, or we're shooting things that we don't even know what it is. And I'm scared that those things were shot out of the sky to make us look at it and say, this could be bad, this could be terrorists, this could be issues, this could be a foreign country. And really, it may not have been anything to it, especially the last three. Was the Chinese balloon a big deal? Could have been. The other three may have been a diversion to show, hey, we're ready, we're taking them all out. And all the while, we allowed the main one, the Chinese did admit that it was their balloon, we allowed it to go all the way across America. Since again, diversion, the Biden administration is running a $460 billion deficit for the first 4 months of 2023. Did we hear a lot about that, or are we worried about the UFO? That's 9% more of a deficit than we were running last year. If you're worried about your children and grandchildren and their future and the sovereignty of America, we can't keep piling this debt up and keep spending money we don't have. We're looking at another Fed rate hike. Who is that going to benefit? It's not going to benefit you, the middle class, because again, it's going to cost you more to borrow money. While all of a sudden, we see inflation went down for a little bit, but every economist is saying it's going to go back up. We've not peaked yet. We will see more inflation for the year. Even the Bank of America CEO is saying this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Inflation's still volatile. Your stock and your retirements are still volatile. Borrow money, it's going to cost you more, hurting the middle class. But again, we don't talk about that enough. We're still borrowing money. We're still worried about a debt ceiling crisis, that we want to borrow more money. We want to spend more money that we truly don't have as a nation. We want to talk about China. We want to talk about the issues like the border. Our border issue has become a big play for, left versus right. Listen to this. Zero Hedge had an article that said Border Patrol encounters Chinese nationals at the southern border. It is up 719%. Do you think those Chinese nationals are coming over to assimilate and wanting to see a better America? If they did, why would they be coming to the southern border? Why would they be trying to come in illegally? Have you heard that story? Or are you still worried about the UFO? This time last year, we had 366 Chinese nationals that they encountered at the border. Already for fiscal year 2023, it's up 9,700 people. We're at 10,587. And that's just since October. That is concerning. Talking about NATO sending tanks and America just funding this war that we shouldn't even be in. If you really look at the studies, the Ukrainian army is struggling and they may not win this war. But here's the scary thing. A French historian who predicted the fall of the Soviet Union over a decade before it fell also said the Ukrainian war will start World War III. He actually says the scary thing is we're already in it. We just hadn't recognized it yet. Kind of like Afghanistan. America has no exit strategy. If you hear our administration, Milley and the Department of Defense, they're pushing forward saying, Russia's on the back, Ukraine's winning, we're gonna send more and more and more over there. All the while, that's not really the reports coming out of those two areas. It's actually saying, we're just going full force in there and we have no exit strategy. We're scared to just pull out, because then we look even weaker in a war that we shouldn't even been in. So we're missing out on the fact that we are actually bringing ourselves into World War III all because of bad politics. Republicans and Democrats. Remember, everybody's putting their blue and yellow flags on their bios, but the problem is, what are we getting out of this? Why do we want to get into this with another country? Why are we worried about hurting someone else's sovereignty? Why don't we just stay out of it? It's not our business. America doesn't have the infrastructure. Remember, we're seeing failures of our infrastructure every day. We have more money borrowed in a deficit spending that we're going over each and every year, we actually can't even send a lot of ammo and a lot of tanks and things like that over because it's going to take us years to replace what we have. Are we in any situation that we need to be starting wars? All the while, we're causing issues, some with China over the China Sea and Taiwan. Come on, what are we doing? We can't just go and try to bully our way into these wars and into these conflicts that has nothing to do with America. America needs to build strength and to be able to face these things when they come to us. But we don't need to go be looking for a fight to pick. That's stupid. We see people pushing against 18-wheelers and not having fuel. We see the energy crisis still happening in Europe. We see South Africa's infrastructure and their culture and their economy falling to pieces. More classified documents found. A war that we can't win, that we shouldn't even be in, spending our taxpayer dollars when we really have issues like true infrastructure, not pork, but true infrastructure issues here, when we can't even fund retirements, when we can't get inflation down, when we are raising interest on the middle class, but again, we're worried about a balloon. All I'm saying is diversion, distraction could cause us to miss out on what's really happening. Everyone knows there's no such thing as a magician. They know it's not real, but we watch it because it entertains us. We see what he's doing, and knowing he is so slick and so sly as a magician to not let us see the trick right in front of our eyes. We're watching one thing while he's doing the trick with the other hand, and it still blows our mind, and we still miss it, and we're still amazed by it. Are we being distracted the same way as a populace? I don't want you to take my word for it. I always tell you to do your own research. Please focus on what they're not saying. See the smaller stories and how it's going to impact you. Look at some of the Second Amendment issues that are coming, and these shootings that are happening, these crimes that are happening in our cities is making certain populists push against gun rights. Look at our food. There was an article that said that really you may need to start looking at eating just 2 meals a day instead of 3. That would help you save money. Is that really what we should be doing as a first world country? What's so crazy is the story has come out that those other 3 that we shut down, we don't know what they are, but they probably are just private balloons owned by private companies. No danger, no payload that could cause the issues here. First one, we let fly and we look like fools. The next 3 we take down and waste a lot of money and a lot of ammunition and a lot of fighter jets, millions of dollars on bombing it, to find out that there's probably nothing to them. But our focus was on it while all this other stuff was happening, and we missed it. Well, we surely don't want to depress you today. Our goal is never to do that. Our goal is to make you see what's really going on around us. Is there more to the stories? Could be. It may not be. But if we do our research, then we'll feel better, sleep better, and know that we don't have to worry about some of this crazy stuff that's going on in our world. Ultimately, as a Christian, spiritually, I look at things as, look, we've got to prepare. We've got to do all we can to take care of our families, but really our goal is to live for Christ and know that he's going to take care of us. But he also gives us smarts to prepare and look at what's going on around us to make wise decisions so other people can see it as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this video. Please go down here, press subscribe. We do need you to share. We do need you to like, because it helps us get in the algorithm. I feel like we've been a little shadow banned lately just because of the content that we've been putting out, but our goal is to just say, just look at both hands in front of you and see what's going on. Don't look at the diversion. Don't be distracted. Focus on what's real. Guys, thank you so much. God bless. Happy Homestead.